Hi everyone, welcome to the Dental Women's Podcast, and I am your host Rabia with the amazing Dr. Farzeela Rupani.
Hi.
Dentist, mum of two, CMO, that's the Chief Medical Officer of Colosseum Dental Group. I am so honoured to have you here, Farzeela.
I'm honoured to be here, Rabia. Thanks for having me. It's like my very first ever podcast. Can you believe that?
I'm so privileged. I can't believe this is your first.
I've been asked multiple times, but I only said yes to you.
See, guys, I'm an important person.
Very important. Very important. Influential lady she is. So I could only say yes to you.
God, look who's talking. And do you know what, Farzeela? I'm just going to dig right in. Okay, I'm going to go straight in. How did you get your job? Now, you're a dentist, right? So how did you get the job as a CMO of Colosseum? How did you do it?
So I've got a bit of a journey. I've been a dentist for 20 years. I went to Guys and Kings, had a great time there. And I qualified. I went and did VT and was working in different clinics across London. And I really enjoyed it. But I always knew that I wanted to do something non-clinical, something with business, something with strategy, leadership of people as part of my career as well. So I loved my dentistry, but I knew as well as seeing patients, I want to have something else that I can work with, that I can have in my life and not just be practicing 6 days a week, which is what I was doing at the start of my career. I think practicing for such a long time, I did practice 18 years out of the 20 that I've been qualified for, but I think that practicing for that amount of time gives you the credibility and gives you the experience to be able to do what I do right now. But I knew I wanted to do something else. So I went and did an MSc in International Health Management at Imperial about 4 years after graduating. And that really opened my eyes to the world of business, healthcare management, organizational behavior, marketing.
Because we're not taught any of this. This is stuff I'm learning now with the network, but damn, we're not taught any of this.
We're not. And I also actually did an intercalated BSc whilst I was studying. So between my third and fourth year at uni, I took a year out and also went to Imperial and did an intercalated BSc in management with medical sciences.
Why?
Exactly. So it was funny because when most people intercalate between second and third year or between third and fourth year sometimes.
Yes.
And when I decided to do it, my dean actually said to me at the time, he said, why are you going to do like a health management degree? No dentist has ever done anything to do with health management or an intercalated BSc. What are you doing? And at the time, a lot of medics were doing it. And I had friends who were at Imperial, and a lot of my medic friends were doing this BSc just to learn more about the business side of healthcare. And I thought, this is really interesting and we need more people knowing about the business side of healthcare in dentistry too. So I really want to do this. But I really had to sell my story to my dean to let him allow me to essentially go and do that year out at Imperial and learn more. And I loved it. I learned so much, but I knew that I wanted to further that education, which is why I went and did the MSc a few years after graduating so that I could learn more. So I would literally be studying at Imperial, doing the MSc, and then I'd be working in practice as well, just to keep my hand in clinical dentistry. But it really gave me exposure to what else is out there. And actually, as a result of doing that degree, I met lots of people at networking events who were doing MBAs at the time. And then I ended up working for KPMG as a healthcare management consultant.
Okay, so you were from dental to...
Exactly.
Was it still dental, the role a little bit?
No, I didn't do any dental projects at all. So I worked for KPMG in their health advisory division, and I worked on healthcare hospital projects, and I would go all over the country, work with NHS trusts, with Social Care England, and help them to run efficiency projects, reduce length of stay in hospital, help them redesign their healthcare networks so that we could be more efficient, more productive within various healthcare systems around the country. I went to Gloucestershire, I went to Barnsley, I went to Manchester. I did a project in North Middlesex Hospital as well, but I did nothing to do with dentistry, and that that was for about a year or so. I was there working, and I was still practicing in clinic on the weekend. So I'd do KPMG Monday to Friday, and then on a Saturday I would be working in a clinic doing my dentistry because I wanted to keep my hand in it. And the only reason why I actually left KPMG is because I got pregnant with my first child. So it's really weird to think about it right now, because now a lot of people make their work life work with children. But in my mind, I thought, I'm doing consulting, I'm traveling around the country a lot. My husband was also traveling a lot for work at the time. Yeah. So I don't think having a baby and being a management consultant can fit. And actually at KPMG, they were really kind, and they said, you can do it, please stay on, don't leave. And I just said, I don't know how I'm going to make it work. I think I just need to leave and go and have my baby. So I did. I left just because I was having a baby, which seems a little bit odd in this day and age now. I mean, my older one is now 12, and I think I could have managed, but I left. I had him. But interestingly enough, I decided to start working during mat leave because I thought, I can't just be like doing mum things. I need to be doing other things.
It's that realization a lot of women have. They're like, I want to be a stay-at-home mum and I want to be so present. And then you get into it and you're like, but I miss that part of me.
Exactly. I thought, I'm just sitting here breastfeeding, going for walks, going to mummy and baby classes. I love it and I love spending time with him, but my brain feels like it needs to be doing something. So actually when I was on mat leave is when I applied for my job at the GDC to work on their investigating committee and fitness.
I did know all this when I Googled you, but I was like, damn, I can't fit this in your intro. There's too many things.
Yeah, so I started working for the GDC whilst I was on mat leave. And
the fitness to practice.
In fitness to practice. So now that role then turned into clinical case examiner role, which is what it is today. But essentially I'd be looking at cases at that interim period to decide whether they get referred to practice committee or not for a hearing. And a great job. I spent 9 years with the GDC.
Really?
Yeah. Learned a lot.
Do you think that made you a better dentist almost?
100%. Actually, all the jobs that I have done in the lead up to becoming Chief Medical Officer have been hugely instrumental to enable me to do my role today. And I think it really made me the person I am today because I learned from everywhere. Because I did general dental counsel. I also went back into working in a practice, in mixed practices, in high needs practices, where I just saw lots of patients who had full mouth caries. I was doing all sorts of treatments. I also did a little bit of high-end treatment as well when I worked in private clinics.
I'm so glad you're saying this because people see you now. They see the CMO Farzeela, like how they see this success. They don't see all of this, all the studies, the GDC fitness to practice. You did research so much.
I did, yeah. I did a research paper, wrote a paper on CPD, worked for DD Group as well as their head of clinical. And so that was the procurement side and the products and services side. I also taught at King's. I taught undergraduates. So I did all these different roles that gave me experience in teaching, coaching, mentoring, in procurement, negotiations, business, dento legal. And all of those skills, I really do use them today in my role. I mean, right now, I'm Chief Medical Officer. Colosseum Group is the biggest European DSO. We've got 630 clinics across Europe, 50 labs, 11 countries, 4,000 dentists, 1,500 hygienists. It's huge. But I think everything that I have learned and experienced in my lead up to doing this role has enabled me to do it, but do it with humility as well. Because for me, when I'm talking to our clinicians, I don't want them to see me on this pedestal because I'm not on a pedestal. I'm there to support our people and support our practice teams, our clinicians, and guide them and coach them to do what they need to do and be the best that they can be and offer the patient care that they want to do. But I don't think I could have done that if I hadn't experienced what I did in my earlier years.
That's amazing. Honestly, I'm still like this. Do you know what? I belong to a lot of female groups, and one of them the other day was saying, I want to stay in dental, but I don't want to do so much clinical dentistry. I'm going to do all these other potential jobs that might be out there. So you've done so many different roles. What advice can you give to these women that are looking at, okay, what can I do that's non-dental but similar to dental? Like, what can they do? Where do they start?
Snap up any and every opportunity. So with me, I didn't really have a defined path to follow because no one had done this ahead of me that I knew or that I had a network with. I was surrounded by my friends who were dentists who either went on to buy their own practice. A lot of my best friends went on to specialize. I had a lot of doctor friends as well. So they were the people that I was surrounded by at uni and post uni. So I didn't know what path do I follow. I did start speaking to some doctors who had gone on and done consulting for McKinsey and BCG and other companies. I also spoke to someone who had gone on and done dental public health. So I started to find out about different routes that I could take. But no one had a clearly defined pathway and no one could tell me this is what you should and shouldn't do. So I was literally researching options. When the GDC job came up, that was just, I think it was on a GDC newsletter or an email. And I thought, oh, this is good. This would give me some experience that would just differentiate me from the crowd a little bit. The DD group role, interestingly enough, I was applying for a locum job via an agency, and the agency got my CV. I emailed it across to them, and the guy called me and he said, the job that you've applied for has actually just gone. However, looking at your CV and because you've got this consulting business type experience, there's a maternity leave job that is coming up with DD Group because my predecessor went on maternity leave. And I think you could be quite good for this role. So I went, I interviewed and got the role that way.
It's like the universe was carving this path for you.
Exactly. And even with my current role at Coliseum, the way that it happened was I knew I wanted to be a clinical director or a chief medical officer of a dental corporate.
Oh, so you had that goal.
I had that goal. I actually had two goals. So one was that goal, and I applied for a different job. And on the day when I met the person who interviewed me for this job at Coliseum, I got a phone call from that particular job saying, "Oh, sorry, you haven't been successful to the third or fourth round to the interviews." So it was a huge disappointment, and I was, of course, upset. Felt like a bit of a failure, but I thought, you know what, it's fine. But then I accidentally walked into the lecture of the person who then interviewed me for this role and ended up talking to him after the lecture, and he said, "Oh, you've got a really interesting profile, send me your CV." The very next day he called me and I started going through the interview process. But in addition to thinking I wanted to do this type of role, I also thought I wanted to be the director of dental protection. So we all know Raj Ratan.
Yes, we do.
Love Raj Ratan. I actually called him and I said, "Raj, how do I get your job? Tell me how I can be your successor."
I love this. You actually reached out to him.
I reached out to him.
A lot of people don't do that.
And I said, "Raj, tell me." And he was so sweet. He's such a nice guy. We all know him. You know, he's a titan in our industry. I knew him since VT days because he was the trainer for one of my friends. And he essentially said to me, "You've got really good skills, but why don't you do an LLM? And that will just give you a bit of an edge." So I did apply for an LLM and I got in to do the LLM. But then at the same time, I got offered my job at Coliseum. And then I did think, I'm going to try and continue to do my LLM and be at Coliseum. But then when I started, I just knew I couldn't do it.
So it's a big job.
One day I will still do an LLM. It's there on the cards, on my
She's still after
list.
your job, Raj.
I still want Raj's job one day. So, and now it's really nice because I actually speak to all the directors from the indemnity companies in the role that I do now. I love working with them. They're great to speak to. They're great to get advice from. And, I maybe one day will have that role.
This is where I ask Farzeela, how do I get your job?
So I really think it's about getting lots of different experiences under your belt so that you, like I said, have the credibility to be able to talk to clinicians and guide clinicians. And then just being in the right place at the right time, meeting people, networking, just putting yourself out there and be willing to do things. I did a lot of things for free. I spoke at events for free.
But this is the thing, listening to your story, it was almost like this role was made for you. You worked for this role. You didn't just fall into it.
Yeah.
You did everything right. This role is for you. And I don't think there's a lot of many people like you that would fit this role. So
yeah, I think people say that you often prepare in advance for the various opportunities that come up. So I think initially when I was doing all this preparation in my life to date, I didn't really have a goal in mind, but over time I just figured out what I thought I would be good at and what I thought I would enjoy. And even with my current role, when I look at other chief medical officers or other clinical directors who do a similar role to me, they all handle it in a slightly different way. And even my predecessor at Coliseum was a different type of person to me in the way that he ran the company. But I've just molded the role to be what works for me and what I think our company needs. And when I started, we had a churn rate of dentists of 60%. And in 3 years, that came down to 11%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And wow,
we went from not being very profitable to being profitable. We did and this was the whole team. It wasn't just me, but the whole team
leadership
turned the company around. Good leadership, looking after our people, listening to our people. That's the one. I think listening to your people is the most important skill in leadership, and also encouraging people to get out there and be who they want to be, encouraging them to learn, encouraging them to be the best in what they do, and also work in the way that they want to work. Because for some people, working 6 days a week is what they love to do, and they thrive on that. For some people, working 2 days a week is what they want to do. For some people, they want to do implants. Others, they want to do aligners. Some people just want to do general dentistry. And I think you have to learn to be really accommodating and understand people's needs and wants in order to guide them and get the best out of them. And I think I try to do that, and I try to listen and encourage people to do what works for them.
Do you think that's what makes you a unique leader? And do you think that's because of you being a woman? Now I want to bring that in there, because I'm sure there's a lot of men gunning for that role. And I don't see very many women in roles like yourselves at the top. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think top leadership C-suite roles are heavily male dominated. And I actually think that men and women have got the right skills to be doing these roles. What I think holds women back sometimes is the fact that they're scared. They have imposter syndrome. We've all heard about that. Yeah. I was definitely scared. I definitely had imposter syndrome. I still do sometimes. And I also, for me, was trying to balance how am I going to manage my kids as well as doing such a senior role. And throughout having both my kids, who are now 10 and 12, I've worked throughout the process, and I've always worried, how am I going to manage? And we all know, you've got 3 beautiful daughters. It takes a village. It really does take a village to help you raise your family. But I was too scared to ask for help. And I was embarrassed because I thought, this makes me look weak, like I can't cope. I'm so used to juggling and spinning like 5,000 plates. And because I'm asking for help, I feel really weak. Yeah. And because I'm saying I can't do something, I feel really weak. Yeah. And over time, I've learned to just accept that that's not the right way to be. You should ask for help. My parents were hugely helpful when the kids were younger. My husband was super supportive. My sister, my in-laws, everyone, friends, they've all helped me during this time when the kids have been growing up and when I've needed to drop them off. Sometimes I would just take the kids to things as well. Yeah. So there were times when I was trying to buy a practice. I almost nearly bought a practice 3 times, and each time it fell down on due diligence.
So that's one thing you haven't done.
That's one thing I haven't done. I haven't owned my own practice.
I have that.
Yeah, you do have that. I've done a lot of M&A with Coliseum, and we are acquiring, so I know the process, but I haven't owned my own practice.
And she runs 630, was it?
Yeah.
She's winning there.
With teams. But what I did want to do was own my own practice. Yeah. And I remember for some reason I decided that buying practices when I was on mat leave was the way forward.
Yeah. We seem to do that a lot.
We seem to do that. So I would turn up to practice visits with my buggy, with my pram, have a baby.
I love that.
And then literally I'd be like, okay, now I'm like filling up. because the breastfeeding is required. Do I go feed? Do I pump? What do I do? So I did do that. And I have to tell you a funny story about pumping, because I went for a meeting or a CPD lecture, and I actually did leave one of the babies with my mum, but I was getting so full and I had to go into the toilets to pump. And back then I had that Medalla.
Oh my God, the swing one.
The noisy. This was a single pump, which was super noisy.
Oh God.
And it'd be like,
yeah.
And literally I had to go into the toilet and I had to pump, but you could hear this super loud noise. And then I could hear the other ladies in the toilet going, what the hell is that weird noise? Like, what is someone doing in the toilet? And I just didn't know whether to laugh or cry. And then the worst thing was, I pumped this milk, and I also didn't have very good milk. Then my gold dust milk, I had to pour down the toilet.
So sad. Oh my God.
Heartbreaking.
I go through the torture to pour it down the toilet.
I was literally like,
it's that stupid saying, don't cry over spilled milk. They don't know about the milk.
They don't know about the milk. I was like, this is gold dust. This takes time and effort. I only produced this much, but I had to tip it down because I didn't have a portable fridge. And I was at this lecture the whole day and I couldn't store my milk.
I would have cried.
And I thought, oh my God, this is a disaster. So, I would take the babies with me. Once when I was trying to buy a practice, my older one, he was about 2.5. So he was getting into that potty training stage. And so, he would be crouching down and he'd go to the toilet because he's practicing going on the potty. Yeah. And I had him in pull-ups, but we went to see this practice, my husband and I, and we took him with us. And he decided he needs a poo right in the middle of this practice visit. And this practice had a really small reception. Oh, so my husband and I are sitting here. The principal dentist who we were trying to buy the practice from and trying to impress was sitting over here. My son was here. He literally sat in the middle of this reception area, crouched down, and was staring locking eyes with the principal dentist and fixated on him, and then just starts pooing. And his face was going red. He's like squeezing it all out, making noises, red face. And he just starts pooing. Oh, God. And we're trying to have a serious conversation about the practice. I'm looking at him thinking, oh my God, I'm literally going to die. My husband was just like half laughing, half thinking, should I take him out? Should I let Farzeela just carry on? What should I do?
Do I let him finish the poo?
What do I do? And so we let him finish the poo.
Of course.
This poor dentist was just like, don't worry, guys. It's okay. I've had kids.
Okay, good.
You could tell that secretly he was uncomfortable. And then we finished the poo, we finished the chat, and then he's like, let me take you around the practice. So then we had to walk around the practice, and we went into the decon room, which was super cramped, and all I could smell was the poo. And all I could think of was like, I can smell the poo. He's sitting in this poo. Yeah. We've got to get this practice visit over and done with. I hope the principal dentist can't smell the poo. What is going on? I was dying. I was literally dying. I just didn't know what to do with myself. And then I thought, I can't really ask him to use his toilet to change my baby whose poo, I don't even know if it's like gone, halfway up the back.
Yeah, we don't know if it's level 5 poo.
I just thought, I'm just going to go with it. And literally, we finished the visit, got out of there. We're like running down the road, almost laughing and crying at the same time. But you know what? The guy was super nice. I did put in an offer. We didn't end up buying the practice, but he was nice about it, I think. Or maybe the poo put him off. I don't know. Can't tell you.
But this is the thing, right? As mums and as women in the profession, we feel like we have to like hide these normal things like kids do. So I'm just so glad to hear that you took your kids around with you. I think a lot of women are afraid to do that, to go out with their kids. They feel like almost it makes them look less able or less committed, or flaky, or my kids are making me less.
For sure. I did feel that a lot as well. I used to take them out, but I didn't take them out as much as I probably would now, because I did back then feel like this is a part of me that people might find they might not be comfortable with it, or they might just think, well, you've got a baby or you've got babies. Are you going to be able to do your job? Are you going to be committed because you're a mum? And I know that's not how people think in reality, but it's just this preconceived idea that I had in my mind back then, and sometimes still do. I don't want people to think that I'm not committed. And probably people do say to me, I go above and beyond and probably work longer and extra hours to kind of compensate and make up for the fact that sometimes I do have to do mum things, or I might have to do the school run or the school drop or be at an event or an activity. I don't go to enough of them. So I also have mum guilt as well, because I'm never at all the school events. I'm never at all the parents' evenings. I don't go to everything, and it's tough to fit it in because I work, I travel, it's hard. But I also don't want people to think that I'm not committed. So how do you balance showing that you're committed, also being there for your kids, being present for your kids as well? And it's so hard.
Because you can physically be there, which is something I've realised this maternity leave since launching the network. I'm physically there, but sometimes you're not mentally present.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing to work on. So that's actually what I wanted to ask you. Now your kids are much older. What advice do you give to those women that have the mum guilt, that feel like they're not doing anything well enough?
Yeah.
Either or.
I think what I've learned is to involve my kids, and that's been super helpful because they actually understand now why I work so hard, and they encourage me to do it, and they also feel part of it. So often they'll be like, oh, how is this person at work, or how is this person, or how did that go? Because I've involved them and I've talked to them about it, and it actually makes them understand why I'm working so hard to build a good life for us, for them. And I hope that it motivates them to want to work hard, be successful in whatever they choose to do with their careers. And I'm starting to see that. They are motivated. They're hungry. You know, Noah, my 10-year-old, said to me the other day, yeah, I want to be a CEO of a company. I want to own this. I want to own that. I also want to do this. I want to have 4 different jobs, because at one point you had 4 different jobs and you were juggling all the different jobs.
You're their role model.
Yeah. And then my older one, Adam's like, yeah, I can see myself doing this. I can do that. Mummy, you did this. Daddy did this. So they do look up to us because we both work super hard. We both juggle a lot. We both travel. We try to make sure that one of us is at least there for them if someone is traveling. And if we're not, then, you know, our parents are there to support. But I don't try and hide the fact that I'm working hard, because I want them to know that that's the reality. I grew up with hardworking parents, and I think that's driven me and motivated me to work hard to achieve what I want to achieve. And I enjoy it as well. I really do enjoy it. I'm not working just for money or just to build something. I really do enjoy it. So I want them to see that, and I try to make them feel part of it. I'm not always there for everything, and I'm not always present. I mean, we were on holiday. I do feel really guilty, and they see it as well. And sometimes they do even say to me, they're like, Mummy, can you just play a game with us, or can you just put your phone down, put your laptop away, and just be here and be with me. And so when they say that to me, it does hit home, and I cry about it. I have cried multiple times about it, and I feel really bad. So when they say it to me, I become very conscious, and I do try to switch off and try to put things down and then be present and spend time with them. But sometimes there are occasions just in the role that I do where I can't actually stop something right at this minute. I have to deal with something. I have to deal with the situation. We were on holiday a couple of weeks ago, and there were certain things going on at work that I needed to deal with. So we would be sitting by the pool, and I'd be there on my phone or with my laptop.
You can't ever be off in your role.
You can't. And I think we have got to a place where they understand that now, and they said, okay, we realized that there are certain important things that you have to prioritize and that you have to work for and be there for. But as long as you just do it for part of the day when we're on holiday, and then the rest of the time you spend with us, it's a balance. There's no right or wrong answer. Some people manage to completely switch off when they're on holiday and when they're away. I probably could. You know, my team are brilliant. My team around me are amazing. And they do tell me, switch off, don't worry, we'll handle things, we've got things covered, which is really, really nice. But I think it's just something in me that just can't
It's the
switch
control
off.
almost, because you feel
Exactly.
like, plus the rest, you don't seem like a person who knows how to rest. Yeah, I see that.
You know me so well. Yeah.
I see that a lot of high performing.
Is it like
women,
a mirror over here? Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of high performing women struggle to rest.
Yes.
It gives you like almost anxiety resting.
I can't do yoga because literally I don't know how to switch off and relax my mind. So when I exercise, I have to do high energy, high performance HIIT because I don't know how to be zen. I do need to learn.
I thought I could be, right? But then my husband bought this like headband thing that measures your brain waves. And, like, if you're calm and relaxed, like birds sing. I flipping couldn't get the birds to sing. I was like, this thing is broken. And my husband put it on, the flipping birds are singing. I'm like, okay, like, I'm relaxed. Trust me. I'm not thinking about anything.
This sounds like me when I was having a baby, like in labor. So you know the TENS machine that they put on your back. The TENS machine calms you down, helps to relax you a little bit. It wasn't doing enough for me. So literally they put it on me, and I was like, take this thing off, give me the epidural. Yes. Give me the drugs. Epidural all the way. I don't care. This TENS machine is too slow, too soft. I need results now. Results. It
was good in the car journey. And then I got there and they're like, your water bath's ready. I was like, yeah, the water bath.
Give me the epidural.
Did I say water bath? I don't know what I was talking about. Give me the drugs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, get it done. But I think that's part of my personality, and probably in my role as well, I'm very much like, get stuff done. Just do it. Just get on with it, get things done, get results, get moving. It just seems to move things in the right direction quite quickly. And I think in our industry, in our business, you do sometimes need to act quickly and work quickly. Sometimes you don't always get it right, but you learn from your mistakes and you recover from them. So I am that person that does try to move things forward at pace. I do think about what I do, but I think you have to just keep on moving in our industry and make decisions quickly sometimes. So
you talked about mistakes. So how do you move on from them? What is your personality type? How do you handle that? Some people just close off, they go into a shell. Others use it to get themselves getting better. Like, how do you handle failure? I don't really like that word because I think it's not failure until you quit. If you give up, then it's failure, but if you keep trying, it's not. So
it's really interesting. We had this conversation with the boys literally last night because we were talking about exam results and there's obviously been GCSEs and A-levels and everything, and we have friends who have been doing the exams, and we were talking about successes and failures, and I said, I've made so many mistakes. I've failed at so many things. I've, not done well in exams. There's been so many times when I have made mistakes, errors, failures, whatever you want to call it. But actually, those are the times when I've learned the most. So when I was younger, I would probably feel super disappointed and cry and get upset and just think, okay, what am I doing? Maybe I should just give up. As an example, when I was applying for consultancy jobs whilst I was doing my MSc, I ended up at KPMG, which is a great company, but I wanted McKinsey. I mean, McKinsey's like the best. McKinsey, Bain, BCG, all these guys, they're superstars, right? So I'm like, I want to work for these guys. I would apply, but literally they wouldn't even interview me because on my CV, they said, you're a dentist. You're not a proper doctor. You've got the doctor title, but you're not a medical doctor. So we're not even going to interview you because we want a medical doctor for this role. Now, I mean, I kind of accepted it back then, but now I would turn around and say, why? I mean, a medical doctor and a dentist can pretty much, when it comes to business strategy, healthcare strategy, do the same thing. And in fact, when I was at KPMG, I ended up working with some doctors and I would be running the projects. Nice. So I don't think it's a bad thing being a dentist over a doctor, but they wouldn't even interview me. And I just felt so rubbish because I thought, what's wrong with me? Should I have done medicine? Like, why do they not want to interview me? And similarly, I've applied for jobs that I haven't got. I've messed up treatments as well. We've all messed up treatments. I did the Chris Orr course and decided I was a superstar at doing veneers.
I think that this applies to a lot of young dentists.
One course, and I was like, yay, I can do full mouth, like veneers, rehabs, whatever. Messed up lots of cases, learned from them. I think the biggest thing is to own up and admit when you're wrong and when things go wrong, and just be super transparent about it and do everything in your power to rectify. So when it's with a patient, of course, you know, you admit that something has not gone to plan, you refund them, you do whatever you can to rectify. So in that particular case, you know, I remade veneers several times, all for free. When things have gone wrong with patients, I've just done something to make it up to them, to avoid them complaining or causing a big issue, because things go wrong. And I think if you own up to your mistakes, that's number one, and then just learn from it and make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. You maybe change the way you work so that you don't make the same mistake again. And I think this is what I try and tell some of our more junior clinicians within Coliseum. You know, mistakes will happen. You'll make errors. Things go wrong. You'll cut the lip. You'll like, you know, the composite's going to break. It's going to go wrong. Your prep's going to go wrong. The tooth, I mean, I used to break loads of teeth back in the day because I didn't know how to use a luxator properly. Yeah. So things will go wrong, but it's about how you deal with the patient, how you deal with it, what you say, apologizing.
Do you feel like this is one big thing of mine? I feel like dental school prepares us to be safe dentists.
Yes.
All clinical based, all theoretical, all knowledge. That's it.
Yeah.
What they forget is the business that you had to go do. Communication, connection, rapport building. And I feel that's 80% of dentistry.
Yeah.
You know, business, I think like when you become a practice owner, I knew nothing. Like I learned so much on the job. I remember having to, first time I had to fire someone, I was like 6 months pregnant. I had to go vomit in the toilet and then come out and be like, okay, I'm ready. And it was like, you know, I wish they taught these things at dental school. But you're right. I think if these skills are mastered, connection, communication, when things go wrong, which they will. And young dentists need to know that things are going to go wrong. That's what you have to make sure the foundations are right. How you built that relationship in the first place with that patient, whether you understood what they really wanted, whether you can come back from that, you can apologize, go above and beyond. So I think those are really, really important skills.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to add to that, but I feel like this is what's missing in dentistry, why people are hating dentistry so much now.
For sure. I think everyone is so risk averse these days because they're scared of patient complaints, they're scared of dental-legal issues. But the majority of it, even when I was working at the GDC, the majority of problems were related to communication, to rapport, how you deal with the patient when things go wrong. Because the nature of the work that we do is that things will fail and go wrong, whether it's your skill level or the majority of the time it's the patient, right? Because they don't maintain their OH or they don't look after themselves properly. So there's multiple reasons why things go wrong, and there's the whole human factors involved as well. So I think that you haven't done enough dentistry if you haven't had mistakes and things go wrong. So what we need to do is better prepare ourselves for dealing with things when they do go wrong, and being able to deal with the patient, rectify the problem, and just get a safe outcome that is good for everyone that is involved. Obviously, the patient comes first, but also for you, you're going to feel like you failed, you're going to feel like you've lost money, you're going to feel like you've lost time, whatever
People
it is.
go into depression. I've got so many messages like there's something's gone wrong, or they've been sued, or a case has been, you know, brought up against them, and they go into this depression and this bubble, and it affects the rest of their work and their outlook on the profession. So what would your advice be to those people?
I would say don't let it affect you. I know it's easier said than done, but it's happened to all of us. Things have gone wrong for all of us. I've had patients complain and then I've dealt with it. And I don't think you should take it personally like a failure on you, or that it's something about you. Something happened, something went wrong, and don't make that think that everything you do in dentistry or in life is now going to fail because
it's because they've linked their profession to who they are as a person rather than their job.
Yeah, exactly. This is a part of your job. And in everyone else's jobs as well, things go wrong, whether you're in banking, law, whatever
even
it
doctors,
is. Yeah, things
surgeons.
go wrong, but we have to learn from those mistakes. Those errors and mistakes actually make us stronger. They make us more knowledgeable, more experienced.
Yes, if you learn from it, right?
If you learn from it.
And this is why I tell them, turn it into feedback.
Yes.
Rather than like a personal attack. It's feedback. It's constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Treat it like that and you can move forward from it.
Exactly. And then when you then help and advise other people, you will have learned from certain things that have happened in your career or in your life, and you can help them to kind of preempt what may come and maybe not make the same mistakes as you, but they might make other mistakes, and hopefully they can come to you for advice and learn from it as well. So I'm still learning now. I still make mistakes all the time. Yeah. So I just am more accepting of the fact that, okay, it's a mistake, it's an error, maybe I made the wrong decision, but now how do I deal with that and how do I move on from it to make things better, to actually get a better outcome? And that's how I try to live in life, but also in my career.
What would you say is the hardest part of your job as CMO?
The juggling of multiple different projects. So, there are many projects going on within Colosseum in the UK, but also across our other 10 countries in Europe.
If you ever need a travel buddy, I'm free.
And all of our countries have got really good teams, and I liaise with all the teams in the other countries as well as the UK team. But juggling the various projects that are going on, each country has got different priorities and different goals that they are working towards. So balancing those goals, those priorities, making time to have the right conversations at the right time with people, assisting people when is required is probably the hardest part. And then just being present for everyone. I've got a team in the UK, I've got a team in Zurich, I've got the other teams in the other countries. And I want to be there for everyone and I want to be present for everyone. But sometimes you can't, and sometimes you have to delegate. And I think what I've learned to do is build a great team around me and get the right people around me supporting me so that I do feel comfortable delegating things to them. When I first started, if there were any clinical concerns or issues that needed to be dealt with, or even clinical interviews with our clinicians entering into the UK market, I would be doing the interviews, I'd be dealing with all the concerns, I'd be doing all the coaching. Yeah, it was a lot, right? Imagine, because in the UK, we've got like 400 dentists. But then I built a team around me where I would have regional clinical advisors, senior clinical advisors who are associates that work with us, but are experienced as well. And they take time out of practice to do some non-clinical work and help with clinical interviews, with coaching, advising, mentoring, support, teaching our clinicians, engaging with them so that there is someone who is present. And my clinical quality managers, they also assist in doing this. I think you need people around you who you can lean on. They can lean on you as well, but you support and guide them and encourage them to sing from the same hymn sheet as you, deliver the same mantra as you, be that number 2 for you or number 3 for you, so that your messages of how you want to lead, how you want the company to run can filter out into your teams on the ground. That's probably the biggest thing for me.
How do you take care of yourself in all of this? I hear that's your kids, your husband, your business. What about you? So what advice would you give to women like yourself?
I eat a lot.
I remember that. You said you Google food places. That's your thing, right?
I Google food places and I Google menus.
We'll Google for something after this.
Yeah, I'm a big foodie. I love to eat out. I love going out to restaurants. And so, Japanese sushi is like a big fave of mine. I'm recently into spicy margaritas as well. Maybe because I spent a couple of weeks in Mexico.
Could be that.
Spicy margaritas with tahini on the rim, help me keep sane.
This can't be your daily ritual.
No.
Sushi and spicy margaritas.
Drinking is on the weekends. I don't drink during the week because otherwise I wouldn't be able to
daily non-negotiables, your rituals?
Daily. So I'm an early bird. So I am that 5 a.m. club person. Yeah,
I keep hearing this.
Yeah, I do you know what? For me, I love the morning time because no one else is awake. The other 3 boys in my house sleep in, especially because it's school holidays right now. Everyone is sleeping in, and I get up. I like to do a little bit of work first thing in the morning before everyone else gets up. And then I'll try and fit in exercise as well a couple of times a week. I used to be a member of a gym, don't have time to go to the gym, but I've got a Peloton bike at home.
I can imagine you on it.
A little bit of, free weights. And I literally, basically the kids' playroom has now turned into my mini gym. I try to make sure that at least a couple of times a week, I'll wake up, do a little bit of work. I'll do some exercise just to get my mind going. And actually, sometimes when I'm sitting there on my bike or doing weights is when I'm thinking. So that's my thinking time, because I can actually just focus on certain things. If I've got a meeting coming up that I need to think about or think through. I was speaking at a conference in the US 2 weeks ago, and I remember the week or 2 weeks before, I was there on the bike thinking about what I'm going to say. So I use that as my thinking time. And so I try to get a bit of exercise in. I do love food, but I try to eat well as well. I like socializing. I think having a social life does help to keep you sane. I like fresh air. I'm also that person that will say to you, I like Teams calls sometimes, but actually if you want to speak to me, call me on the phone, so then I can walk around and do steps.
I like that. I like that.
I'm like, I could walk, I could do steps and, monitor on my Fitbit. So yeah, I think just staying active. I am also that glass half full person. So I
was going to think you've got a lot of mindset stuff going on, because you haven't, when I talk to people who are high performing, sometimes they're like, I have to do this, I have to do, and you don't have that. So I feel like because your mindset's, you really love what you do, don't you?
I do. I love my job. I'm a people person. I love what I do. But I also just try to make it part of my life and bring in the fun side of me, because I am naturally that outgoing fun person that wants to go out. So even when we have team meetings, I'll say, let's have the team meeting, but then let's go out and do something like, flight club with darts or whatever. Whenever we do events with our clinicians, we'll have the serious meeting side, but then we'll also have fun. I think you have to have fun in life. You have to have fun at work. Otherwise, it just gets boring. So that's probably my motto, just eat good food and have fun.
I think that's why you just seem well. You seem good. Whenever I see you, seem like healthy, happy, grounded.
Yeah, I'm tired, Like I said, I'm juggling a lot. I'm tired.
going to make a t-shirt called I'm Tired. I'll get you one.
I am always tired, but I think I don't let the tiredness bring me down. I just know that it's a part of life. I do, when I can go to bed early as well, I do go to bed early, because I do wake up early. So if I'm not going out and if I don't have things going on in the evening, I will go to sleep at 9 o'clock sometimes. And sometimes everyone else is awake and they're like, why are you going to sleep? And I'm saying, well, when I can sleep, I do try to sleep.
You don't do the doom scrolling.
I do. It's funny because sometimes I'll go up to bed and then I will be doing doom scrolling, and then the boys will be coming up and they'll say, Mummy, I thought you were going to bed and you're on Instagram or like you're checking emails. And I'm like, yeah, I'm working. And they're like, well, you're not switching off and you're telling us about screen time, because I am that crazy
I love that they keep you in check.
Yeah, I tell them about screen time, so they tell me about screen time and how I can't be, scrolling just before bed. So, good sleep hygiene and all of that. Yeah. I try to do that. I occasionally take some vitamins on an ad hoc basis to try.
I don't think they work like that.
I don't think they work.
This is like me with my iron tablets. I'm like, I feel tired. I'll take one today.
Take some magnesium. I don't know.
That relaxes you.
Might help. Take some multivitamins because I didn't eat enough vegetables last week. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not very consistent in that.
We're not asking Farzeela for any self-care health tips here.
I am not. I'm not that person who has this particular routine and is going to tell you that this is my regime. I just do whatever I can to be active. I think the most important thing is be active, especially if you love to eat. You need to be active. Yes. So I'm not that person that eats to live. I live to eat.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Farzeela, it's been amazing talking to you. But I want to end with some advice from you to anybody that's listening, which will be largely women, but that are high performing, like yourself. Any advice for them, anything you would give them?
I would say try and carve out time for yourself. This is something that I've not been very good at doing, and there have been points where I've reached that point of burnout. I've never been at burnout, but I have almost reached that point. And when I'm getting close to that point of burnout is when I just cry. And I'm that person that I won't cry in front of everyone else. I'll just go to my room and cry on my own. I sometimes cry on the Peloton bike, actually. It's a good place to cry because you're sweating, so you can kind of hide the tears with your sweat. So I'll just be there riding and crying, get it all out. I have a good cry, and that helps me. That's like my healing. And sometimes when I'm just really, really tired. I mean, last week I went to Zurich just for the day. So I woke up at 3 a.m., caught a flight, was working all day in meetings, and then I got home at like 10, 11 at night. And then the next day I tried to wake up at 5 a.m. and I literally just collapsed on the bed, and I knew, okay, I can't do this. So I do reach those points where I'm so physically and mentally tired that I know that if I just push myself that much more, I will burn out. So I stop myself. But what I do need to start doing, and the advice I would give, is to try and carve out that time for yourself so that you can do whatever you want, whether it's go for a walk, go for a coffee with a friend, go and do an activity that's not work related, just to give you breathing space. And the other piece of advice I would say as a mum is try to be as present as possible. The people who tell you that they're always present all the time, that's a lie. You can never do that. But try to be present when you can. Be all in when you can for your kids, because they do notice. My kids definitely notice. And listen to them when they're craving your attention and they're asking you to be present. That is the time when you really should stop and actually be present. But at the same time, I don't think it's a bad thing to involve them in what you're doing and tell them about your work and tell them how important it is and how important your career is to you. Because if they understand that, they'll be more understanding when you're not there, when you're traveling, when you're doing things that are work related and you're perhaps not there for them physically. They'll know that mentally you are always there for them. You always love them, but you are doing something for you and also to build a life for them. And I think helping them to understand that early on from a very young age is so key to enabling them to feel better, but also enabling you to feel better and for you not to have that mum guilt.
When you come back to them, when you're away from these trips, is there something that you do, like connection-wise? Like, do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably bad, but if I'm going to Switzerland, I always buy them loads of Swiss chocolate, which is so yummy. Or I buy them like small little gifts just to show them that I remembered them and I'm thinking about them. It's not always about physical gifts as well. Sometimes even taking a photo and saying, I'm thinking of you because I saw this, and, you know, sending it to their dad who can show them, just to show them that they are always on my mind. I think when I come back from trips as well, I do switch off from everything. You know, I give them hugs. I sit with them on the sofa. Last week when I came home from my trip, they were waiting up for me. So I sat there. They wanted to tell me all about their day at tennis camp. I was so tired. I really wanted to go to bed, but I sat there. Then they said, Mummy, can you like watch Young Sheldon with us? So I sat there and watched an episode of Young Sheldon, even though I was exhausted. So sometimes I do have to really put them ahead of my own needs, actually a lot of the time. And even if I'm exhausted, push through to be there for them so that they know they are the most important thing for me. In my life, my family is the most important thing for me. Work is there and I love my work, but I will sacrifice for them. But I need them to feel that too. There's no point in just saying it and knowing that in your own mind. If they don't feel it, then what's the point? So sometimes you do have to really, really show them and make that effort to show them. And I've learned to do that more and more recently. I probably didn't do it enough before and I felt guilty. I still feel guilty, but I'm learning to accept that I can make time for everyone in my life eventually.
Yeah. Starting with yourself. That was your advice to everyone.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you so much, Farzeela. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on this podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been such an honor, such a pleasure.
No, the pleasure and the honor was all mine.